Good Monday morning. You found us here on the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. You know, each and every weekday morning around 9 a.m., we give you a half an hour on today's top weather headlines. A lot of times for Hampton Roads, that's Southeast Virginia, Northeast North Carolina, but we talk about what's happening across the country, around the world. We get into space, climate, all kinds of good stuff. Today, the top weather headlines really centered around that massive winter storm that did so much across the eastern U.S., parts of the South as well. We've got the full wrap up on what's happened across America. We're also going to talk about local impacts from the weekend storm here in Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. The fact we still have some icy areas out there this morning. We've got live crews. We'll be hearing from several locations across our region in just a bit. So look forward to hearing more from them. We're also going to talk about more cold air coming into the region and a cold air advisory tonight into early Tuesday. Not only is it going to be bone chilling, frigid, but we also have gusty winds that are going to develop later tonight and early tomorrow. So it is going to be a very raw overnight and into tomorrow morning. We'll talk about those dangerous cold air conditions. And then we're going to take a look at the week ahead. And would you believe those models? Remember last Monday, I called the winter storm out for this past weekend. We said, okay, we're going to do a weather impact alert for the following weekend because we knew this major storm was coming together. Now, the impacts from that kind of varied a little bit through the week, and we kept you updated. But looking ahead to next week, our global models are both projecting a potential nor'easter, which could throw more moisture back into our area. The thing I will tell you about the setup for next weekend is there is more room for variability and a little bit of variability in what happens over the next, say 4 or 5 days. We'll have massive potential differences to our apparent weather. So we'll break all that down. We'll talk about what the models are suggesting this morning and how things may evolve and why it's really going to be important once again to continue to check back because things can and likely will evolve. Let's start off, though, with this winter wrap-up. Look at the snow coverage across the country right now. This was observed snow depth. Of course, we've had a lot out west. We've talked about that for weeks and even months, how much snow they've had out that way. But some of the areas you see shaded in with the color, this is different. We don't always see snow down into Texas and Louisiana, Arkansas and Mississippi. We can take a little closer look. This isn't just light snow. There was some ice in this area, but where it did change over to snow, it really piled up. This area is shaded in purple, more than 12 inches of snow. So over a foot of snow from southern parts of Arkansas and extreme northern Louisiana across northern Mississippi, western portions of Tennessee into central Kentucky. A lot of snow there. My brother in St. Louis was telling me he had to remove about 14 inches or so from his driveway in South St. Louis. So a lot of snow there. Many areas there close to a foot. There was 6 to 12 inches across these portions here of northern Arkansas and southern Indiana. But as you went a little farther north, there were some heavier pockets as well. Let's take a look at what's gone on in the Northeast. Big snowmaker through New England, parts of upstate New York right now with observed snow totals. You go purple is 12 to 18. This first pink is 18 to 24. The next shade, 24 to 36 inches, 2 to 3 feet. Then you jump into this lighter pink and you get into 3 to 4 feet. And here, more than 4 feet of snow, a little dot there coming off of Lake Ontario. So I think about some of the communities like Buffalo and Rochester, they are really digging out from a tremendous amount of snow, and that snow widespread up across Maine as well. Here in Virginia, while we didn't have that much here in Hampton Roads, and we'll zoom in on Hampton Roads in just a moment, once you got west of Richmond back towards Charlottesville and into the mountains, you did find some heavier amounts, some places in excess of 12 inches. Most areas kind of in that 6 to 12 inch range, and that extended up through the D.C. area. In Hampton Roads, it was mainly rain. We got about an inch or so, Virginia Beach to Norfolk, a few areas maybe an inch, inch and a half. But once you got out into the western areas, that's where you picked up a little bit more, an inch in this lighter shaded area here. And what was observed early this morning, you get out towards Franklin and up past Williamsburg, you start to see a little bit more. Those totals really climbing as you got out towards I-95. So that's what we are looking at across the country. You can see we still have a winter weather advisory for our inland areas. This continues this morning. Virginia Beach, Eastern Shore, the eastern portions of North Carolina, not included in that advisory until you get back out into Gates and Hertford, Bertie, Northampton, and North Carolina. Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Suffolk, and areas to the west, the peninsula, middle peninsula, northern neck, all still under winter weather advisory this morning. So we'll keep an eye to all of that. Now, as we expand the view, you'll notice this does extend this advisory back down through Raleigh and Charlotte, and then you still have some other areas with ice warnings around Atlanta, north of that area, and the winter storm warning continues for the Cincinnati area. But much of the country starting to recover a little bit. And this morning, nearly 200 million Americans from Louisiana through New England are now dealing with all of the snow we just talked about, the aftermath of this major winter storm. Parts of the Northeast are seeing their highest snowfall total in 4 years, and ABC's Lionel Moise has a look at the conditions across the country.
Millions waking up to frigid temps this morning after a deadly winter storm brought heavy snow, sleet, and freezing rain from New Mexico to New England. A private plane carrying 8 people crashing after takeoff from Bangor, Maine.
Aircraft upside down. We had a passenger aircraft upside down.
No confirmation on if there were survivors. More than 12,000 flights were canceled nationwide Sunday.
I've been stuck here and I'll be stuck here for 2 more days.
Travel on the roads coming to a halt. One man recovering after this massive ice-covered tree fell on this car in Atlanta. More than 1 million power outages have been reported across 11 states.
We're going to have to stay at a friend's house who's got heat. Okay. We don't have anything.
In Louisiana, the frigid weather turning deadly. 2 men died due to hypothermia. In New York City, at least 6 deaths are linked to the conditions. A woman near Boston was killed after a snowplow backed into her.
My biggest message is please take it seriously. Stay off the roads and check in on your neighbors.
And some moments of just that. In Oklahoma, one Tulsa man pitching in with a vintage fire truck he bought from an auction, using it to help bring the homeless to shelters.
Just cruise the streets, see someone, offer a ride. If they take it, great. If not, I can at least warm them up in the truck and just get them a water, meal, something. And it's just giving back to a community like everybody should do.
And a treat for people in New York Central Park, with Olympian Shaun White putting on the show snowboarding. People are warned to stay off the roads with concerns the streets will still be frozen for this morning's commute, and the National Weather Service says the impacts could last for days. Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
Yeah, there has been such widespread impact so much of the country. I also wanted to mention the winter storm warning continues for the Northeast. So parts of New York State, this is north of New York City, but upstate New York and then into New England with Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, portions of Connecticut, Rhode Island still under the winter storm warning. All right, as we take a look at the satellite, the radar images, we still have some snow up there. We've been looking at rain near the coast early this morning. That is pulling farther away. Still the southernmost parts of the Outer Banks and the Pamlico Sound seeing a little bit of rain still. And there's still a little bit of light snow working across the upper reaches of the Chesapeake Bay. But most of the snow is more widespread to the northeast, and that too will eventually be winding down. Want to turn our attention to Virginia now because parts of Virginia also dealing with all of these significant impacts of the storm. In Alexandria, a truck plowing snow overturned on Sunday, taking out a power pole with it. The crash shut down the road and knocked out power to neighbors for several hours. Fortunately, in that incident, no one got hurt. Not too far away in Washington, D.C., dozens of people showed up for a snowball fight on the north lawn of the Washington Monument. The snowball fight is a tradition going on for at least 10 years. And I actually got a message from my son. He thought that snowball fight was canceled this year. So interesting. It looks like a few dozen still turned up for that. Finally, in Harrisonburg, this is a look at the conditions downtown, just a few minutes down the road from James Madison University, the campus there. You can see, again, that snow widespread and those trucks out working. So a lot going on there. Here in Hampton Roads, several cities got more rain than snow, but with temperatures hovering around freezing, that can make for a very dangerous morning commute. And that's what we want to do right now. We want to talk with Jeremiah Beatty. She has been out in our Weather Impact Interceptor all morning. And now, Jeremiah, if we can join her, we see you are outside of the car and you're located in Suffolk. Is that correct?
That is right.
You've done a great job all morning. Talk to us about the conditions you're seeing there. You've been inland and you've seen areas where there's ice cover and crunch. What's going on where you are now?
So yeah, we've been kind of riding around all morning long. If you were able to catch us in our daybreak show, we were in Chesapeake and Portsmouth, and we were starting to see a meltdown, just some ice clinging to the signs and tree limbs out there. But here in Suffolk, I don't know if you guys can see the pile of snow behind me. I think that's from where people were shoveling, but that's kind of what we're seeing, just some lingering ice. And just to give you a closer look, I mean, this stuff is pretty thick. It's very chunky, but that's what we've been seeing on the ground out here. I have been in Isle of Wight up in the Smithfield area, and I mean, guys, this morning the ground was covered in a sheet of ice. So, I jumped on it this morning, very crunchy. It was almost like we took a step inside a freezer, and standing here now, it's very cold. I know, Craig, I heard you mention earlier about low visibility. I wanted to say earlier it was foggy, but I don't think that's the right term. I think we are seeing some light, low visibility in this area, but now I didn't see a lot of rain this morning, but a slight drizzle is coming down this morning, and a little bit of wind. So I'll let you speak to that. But just standing out here now with the at or below freezing temperatures is very cold. So definitely want to wear your gloves, scarves, coats, all of that good stuff. But out here, if you want to kind of show them around the area, you can see there's still some ice and snow lingering on the ground. Some of that is melting away. Roads are pretty passable right now. Haven't seen too much issues for drivers this morning, but there are still some of those puddles on the road, so standing water. So we've just been trying to inform drivers this morning, if you happen to see that, just take your time, because in some areas that's actually ice, and it can cause you to skid. So you definitely want to take your time out here. It can become dangerous very quickly, but for the most part, Craig, just again, that low visibility. We are seeing some rain come down, very, very light at this point in time, but again, just cold. I mean, stepping out the door this morning, reporting in it yesterday and today, it's definitely frigid temperatures that we're dealing out here. So could you speak to that? Is that fair to say with the wind? I'm definitely feeling that right now.
So right now, your air temperature in Suffolk is 32 degrees, Jeremiah. And what I was interested to hear from you, we've seen the roads. At times, they don't look too bad. Have you guys encountered, as you were driving around, any black ice, any roadways that seem like they might be wet but were a little bit icy? And what's falling right now may actually be some light freezing drizzle, what you're feeling. That light moisture, as it hits frozen surfaces, you may see some additional ice forming on that. Can you speak to any of that?
Yeah, so good thing that you mentioned that. I will say up in Smithfield, so we're a couple of miles out from that area. I will say some of your main roads were okay. Residential roads, your secondary roads, that's where things kind of turn tricky. You still had some frozen layers on the ground that was, if you're not careful, like I said earlier, you could skid if you're not being cautious and staying alert out there. But off your secondary residential area roads, we definitely were seeing a difference from those main roads where, VDOT was working around the clock, salting and brining. We definitely could see a difference night and day for some communities up there in Smithfield. But once we get up that way, that's been pretty consistent all morning long since 4 a.m. We saw some of the ice, especially in Carrollton too, just still on the ground up there for sure.
Okay, well, good information from you, Jeremiah, and I do appreciate you being out there. I'll give you a quick heads up, Jeremiah, just so you know, that hat you're wearing and the gloves, you might want to think about an additional scarf for tomorrow. I think you're going to be with us. We've got a cold weather advisory. It's going to be even colder and windier tomorrow morning. So We appreciate you very, very much, Jeremiah. I want you to get warm, okay?
Awesome. Thank you, Craig.
All right, take care. That's Jeremiah Beatty again reporting, and she and Jordy Clark, they've done a fantastic job all morning giving us some different reports. You can see right now there's not a lot of precipitation across the immediate area. It looks like a little bit of light flurry activity just passing south and southeast of Richmond, extending over to portions of the northern neck. It's past Tappahannock. Most of the area dry from any significant precipitation at this point, but there is some fine mist, and that's the type of stuff where you could see some ice deposits on a few of those surfaces. So this is where you have to be even more cautious as you are out and about. Currently, it's 29 in Wakefield, 30 in Newport News, 27 at West Point. It's those areas out to the west that I'm most concerned with. 31 in Chesapeake, though, at the regional airport. So even here in the metro, we're down around freezing. Fortunately, temperatures have been a little warmer into northeast North Carolina. Now, I do want to bring you back to kind of the state situation, because according to Virginia State Police, as of 9 o'clock, well, as of early this morning, troopers were responding to almost 440 crashes across the Commonwealth. That includes 109 accidents in Hampton Roads. 7 of those crashes did report injuries. And here now with a closer look at the traffic across the region, someone who had a very busy weekend as well. Marta, you were in with us yesterday watching the roads. What are things looking like now?
Well, we're seeing improving conditions across Hampton Roads this morning as we take a look at your traffic here. I do want to mention, you know, we didn't see too many people out on the roads over the weekend with the snow and the ice, so that does just speak to the conditions. And as we take a look here this morning, I do want to mention we're seeing lighter traffic flows anyway, because we have delays in place, we have closures in place, so that is also helpful. Across the south side in Norfolk and Virginia Beach, we have not seen those icy conditions throughout this morning. It's up in Hampton, Newport News, Williamsburg, and of course near Isle of Wight and Smithfield that you want to be extra diligent as you head out the door. This is the Virginia Department of Transportation's 511 website. This shows, you know, traffic cameras, crashes, etc. It's what we use to track traffic data. And this is their weather conditions map. So if you see a road that's highlighted in that light blue, that suggests that there is minor impacts to that roadway. If you see the darker blue, those suggest moderate impacts, I should say, excuse me. So near Hampton Roads, the worst we're seeing, according to this map, are those minor impacts. And that's mostly, again, up on the peninsula. Warwick Boulevard's a big one. That's basically all light blue this morning. Near Smithfield and Isle of Wight, we're seeing that as well. As you make your way towards Petersburg, we're seeing a lot more dark blue in the picture there. So keeping that in mind, south side, not seeing any of the roads shaded in blue. So the Virginia Department of Transportation has not deemed them to be severe enough to upgrade them to being impacted by weather this morning. Do want to show you Newport News. Again, Warwick Boulevard seeing those minor impacts according to 511. On the road itself, we're seeing a lot of melting. You can see there's an icicle, though, hanging down right in front of the camera. Still seeing snow on the side of the road. And then we've seen pictures throughout the morning from our viewers who, in their neighborhoods in Newport News, have ice just completely covering the road. So you want to be extra careful if you're up in this area, up near Williamsburg. That's where we're going to see the brunt of the impacts that are lingering. This is I-64 up in Newport News. You can see the brining and the salting and just people driving on the interstate itself. That has helped with the melting. Off on the side of the road, you will still see a little bit of snow. Here on the south side, though, completely different picture. No snow at all in the picture anymore. We do have wet roads because of the rain that we've seen throughout today. So again, said this all morning, Craig, but it just depends on where you are. If you're on the south side and you're wondering why we're still talking about this, drive up an hour to Williamsburg and you'll understand why.
And that's where we're going to go next, Marta. Thank you so much for your awesome job reporting all the traffic. You've been working so much over the weekend and busy this morning. We appreciate everything you're doing. All right, Jordy Clark is up in Williamsburg, and she's got a check of conditions up there. I can tell you right now, the air temperature in Williamsburg, 31 degrees. There's a light north wind about 7 miles per hour. Jordy, let's talk about what type of conditions you're seeing on the ground. Up around Williamsburg, we've seen more snow and ice on at least the grassy areas and some of the sides of the streets. How are the sidewalks and roads looking now?
Hey, Craig. So, yes, we have certainly seen all the elements, honestly, over my past 2 days. But honestly seeing a different picture up here in Williamsburg. I mean, my live shot before this during the streams, I mean, we saw it looked like I was on, honestly, like an ice rink because of how icy the parking lot is. Now, we are at a Williamsburg Crossing shopping center, and I will say less ice, but certainly still you can see behind me there's still so many patches, and that's what we have seen throughout Williamsburg as we've been kind of moving around here near the parks, near parking lots, because that's kind of what has been obviously the biggest concern for people. The highways for the most part have been cleared, but I will say up here we also see turning into places. We see a lot of that slickness I talked about earlier this morning as well. So these places up here on the north side will certainly be impacted for a lot longer. Like we said, the south side is probably wondering, what precipitation. Some people woke up. My 6-year-old actually was excited for the snow and woke up and didn't see any. So it just goes to show it with the epitome of where you were, depending on what you were able to see with this winter storm. And Virginia certainly got to see a big mix of it. And even the snow mounds behind me from what the trucks plowed. I mean, that is hard as a rock, honestly, at this point. It's not powdery snow. This isn't the kind of snow where people are out running around throwing it or anything. It's just icy, it's cold. I will say up here, while it is chilly and certainly kind of helping keep some of those icy conditions on the roads, it's definitely a manageable cold up here. I wouldn't want it to get much colder, I will say that, but certainly bundle up if you have to be out today for anyone who does, like us or any other people or anyone else that's going back to work. But if you do have a delay today, take advantage of it, because it's icky conditions, I'd say. This isn't a fun winter snow wonderland. Definitely, as much as I was ice skating earlier, it's slippery, and it's just something to be careful of. And we harp on that a lot, especially when driving, just knowing what to do in those conditions.
And you hit it, again, more icy than fluffy snow. It's not the type that you go out and play in. So, again, we're going to let you get warmed up now, Jordy. Thank you so much for that report. And, again, it's going to get even colder right now. The wind chill's not too bad up there, but it's going to get a lot worse later tonight. All right, I do want to let everybody know wind chills are currently in the 20s for most of the area where the wind's really light. Chesapeake, it feels like 31, but most areas feeling like the low to mid 20s. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about the possibility of more snow for next weekend. Believe it or not, models are pointing to another round. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. Let's talk about what's coming next to the region. Cold weather advisory for tonight through 10 a.m. Tuesday. So from 9 p.m. tonight through 10 a.m. Tuesday, wind chills Some areas could be as cold as 5 below zero to about 10. Now, I want to talk to you about what a cold weather advisory means and what it's issued for. It's issued when unseasonably cold air creates an inconvenience to life. This is really, really cold air and windy conditions, potential hazards, hypothermia, and frostbite if you are exposed to these wind chills. And for Hampton Roads, specifically when those feels like temps are 10 degrees or lower, and that'll be the case tonight. Take a look at the projections here. Our models going for 3 degrees below zero, Petersburg, Richmond, Tappahannock, 6 below, single-digit wind chills from Norfolk to Chesapeake, down around 3 in Suffolk, 10 in Virginia Beach, even single digits down towards Elizabeth City and Edenton. Those are the 7 o'clock wind chills, and as we push towards 8, it really doesn't warm up much. Still looking at 3 below, Tappahannock, Richmond, Petersburg. It's going to be windy and cold tomorrow morning. The wind chills will eventually climb back into the double digits for Norfolk, and we're going to get into the mid-20s for feels like temperatures tomorrow afternoon. Now, the temperature trend for the next 10 days, below average. Our average high is 51. This cold air is here to stay, and you can see even out 8 to 14 days, we are still looking at below average temperatures. Want to talk to you about the forecast. We've got the snow for the northeast U.S., the last of the showers winding down around the Pamlico. Bitter, bitter cold air across much of the north central U.S. and here into the east and the northeast. You can see how that cold air is going to be with us. As we get into the future cast, what I want to tell you, that rain down around the Outer Banks moves away. We're going to see some drier conditions with more sunshine for Tuesday and into Wednesday. It looks pretty good. I think we'll be in good shape into Thursday and Friday as well, but things changing up as we look to the weekend and a potential developing coastal low, call it a nor'easter. You see what happens here Friday as that low pressure starts to develop along the southeast coast, and then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. This is the GFS model, and look at that. Saturday night into Sunday with that low really tightening up here, moving along the coast, it produces snow. Now, is this model alone? Nope. The European model right in step with it again, developing this low pressure center Friday, late Friday into early Saturday just off the coast. More snow here as that low moves along. Now, here's the deal on this. There is still a lot of uncertainty because in this setup, if that low is a little farther offshore, it's going to change things up dramatically. The moisture won't come as far west. If it's closer to the coast, we may get more warm air in. So we're not going with snow projections at this point. Lots of variability, but it is something we'll watch and we'll keep you updated with. All right, so today the temperature's staying cold, low to mid-30s. Not much of a warm-up through the afternoon. I do expect a lot more sunshine coming up through the day tomorrow. We do have the weather impact alert for those very cold wind chills tomorrow morning. We'll see the colder weather through Friday and then look ahead to the weekend and the potential for another round of wintry weather. Thanks so much for joining us on today's edition of the Weather Desk. Stay warm, stay safe. We'll see you next time.